Hey buddies, SomeNutzGuy here. Hope you're having an awesome day so far, and welcome back for more RLCraft. Today we are talking about how to prepare for the Lost Cities. Now this video is going to be specifically how to prepare. We're not going to be venturing into the Lost Cities in this video. The reason being is I'm going to create a couple of different Lost Cities guides with regards to different elements, and I didn't want the video to be particularly long, and I would also have to repeat myself at the beginning of each of the other Lost City guides. So we're going to do this one separately, and then in those future ones we're going to refer back to this one and have you guys come back to watch this one to make sure that you're preparing properly, and in the next ones I'll say, all right, now if you're prepared, let's go, if that makes sense. All right, so what are we talking about? We're talking about gear, we're talking about weapons, we're talking about tools, we're talking about baubles, we're talking about potions, we're talking about wine, we're talking about how to get buffed up, and we're talking about utility that you'll probably want to bring with you as well. So let's start with the basics. Gear. Full golem armor is what I'm going to be using. Silver armor, I think with the Lost Cities being more difficult now, mobs hitting harder, viral, etc. I've had armor pieces broken in one shot or within half a second with maybe a couple of shots. It broke instantly, basically. I just don't think it's viable personally. The main reason that it was super good before was that you couldn't 100% of the time couldn't use right click if you had fear. Now that fear is just a 50%, you can eat or drink if you need to. You can drink your potion, your wine. You can potentially use a scroll to get out. So now that that's 50%, I feel like that nullifies part of the value. It might be worth bringing a spare silver set into the Lost Cities with you. If you start to get a high stack of viral, you can just switch out your golem army, fly up, be safe somewhere, switch out onto your silver set, clear your debuffs, and then put your golem set back on to actually get back into the fighting. So having a spare silver set to clear debuffs occasionally might be useful, but I probably won't even necessarily bother doing that. You'll want to have a fully enchanted weapon. Now my weapon of choice is going to be the pike, because we are going to be flying above enemies with long reach and hitting things ideally from a range where they can't hit us. There's other great weapons that you can also choose. I've done a video on the best weapons, but pike is going to be my choice for staying in and around the Lost Cities for an extended period of time. You'll want to have good tools with decent enchants. I haven't done the qualities on these, oops. But you want to, advanced efficiency so you can break through things easily, etc. Now, all of these things, all of the armor and the weapons, everything has Unbreaking 4. Obviously, you won't necessarily be able to do that unless you have had a bunch of Unbreaking tomes. Now, the reason you want to have Unbreaking on as many things as possible is because things break easily, particularly your armor can break very easily. So the less things that mending is having to regenerate or repair means that the things that are most important, i.e. your armor, can be prioritized more frequently. Now, while we're talking about mending, we should talk about advanced mending versus mending. I actually put advanced mending on these, but really, actually, you should probably put regular mending on your helmet and your chest and advanced mending on everything else. Advanced mending is around double the effect as far as I'm aware, but mending actually prioritizes the item that's lowest. So what that means is if you have regular mending on your helmet and your chest and it's lower than other things, it will get prioritized and mended first, whereas advanced mending is like about twice as effective, but it just randomly mends whatever. So having the mending to prioritize your chest and your helmet is actually probably a good idea. Obviously, everything needs to be fully enchanted as best you can, and the quality needs to be as good as it can. So reforging everything up to the best qualities. All right, so that's our armor and our weapon and our tools and our bow. All right, so now let's talk about baubles. Now, you'll notice a couple of potentially interesting things here with the baubles, and one of them is going to be when we talk about buffing up. Now, this is my bauble loadout. This is the loadout of baubles that I think I would run the Lost Cities with. Now, there might be one or two things that you're unsure about here. Fire Gauntlet, you might not have this. If you don't have the Fire Gauntlet, the Feral Claws is also a decent choice to increase your attack speed. But honestly, the Fire Gauntlet is just an extremely powerful. Bauble is really, really good. Now the cross necklace, you could instead have the Wrath pendant if you wanted to, for the sinful buff, but I'm gonna actually, and the +2 damage, but we're gonna actually be getting the sinful buff anyway. You could have a Dragon's Eye, you know, you could, if you're gonna be on the ground for whatever reason, I would fly, but you could have the Stone of Great Inertia. But this is what I'm gonna run with. So the cross necklace increases the length of invincibility when damaged. Essentially, if I end up getting swarmed, this is going to save me from a lot of damage by increasing my invincibility frames. Menacing Poison Stone, the weapon has Viper and Envenomed, so the second strike that we do will have plus 40% damage to poison enemies, because the first strike will poison them, the second damage will have that boost in damage. Honor Shield is just a fantastic item, and it's also going to be how we get our resistance. You could use the resistance potion, but it also gives you a 100% damage immunity to every 5th attack. Every 5 hits ignores the next attack. So it's either every 5th, it's either 20%, it's either 1 in every 5 or 1 in 6. But basically, occasionally you resist 100% of a hit. And it also gives you a 10% chance to ignore headshot damage, which is very, very nice. 10% chance to potentially save your life. You've also got the Ankh Shield. Now, the Ankh Shield is such a core item, particularly with regards to wine, because wine will give you inebriation. The Ankh Shield will stop all the negative effects from inebriation and also stop all the negative effects that various mobs might end up giving you. We're not going to have fire immunity here, but fire's not going to be doing that much damage to us anyway. The the Broken Heart now actually works in 2.9.2, and this gives you an effect where lethal damage destroys empty heart containers instead of killing you. So instead of dying, you lose heart containers, and then you can just sleep to regenerate those later. So basically, this will save your life. Now, we've also got the Gluttony Pendant, which we are going to be using to get the sinful buff when we're buffing up. And you might also bring a Polarized Stone. This is essentially just like an item that helps you get experience in looting. So the reason you might have the Polarized Stone is with regards to mending. So if you have this turned on, experience orbs will be pulled towards you. You don't need to have it equipped. You can literally just have it in your inventory, and you can turn it on and off with the keybind /. So pressing / will turn it on. Collection mode on, collection mode off, collection mode on. You can see these shulkers from over there making their way over. But this will pull XP orbs to you, so you gain XP, you pick up XP very instantly, which will help with the mending of keeping your armor up. And will also, if you are trying to farm, certain items for the sentient gear or weapons, then this will, pull those towards you, so you maybe don't miss something that you might have missed if it was like in some grass or something like that. In terms of utility, I would bring a Waystone. Definitely need to bring Waystone. Place it down immediately when you get there, so you can have a way back home, a permanent way back home, and also you can teleport there if you want to, of course. It also sets a spawn point. You have your warp scrolls or perhaps a warp stone, which will allow you to leave the lost cities and teleport to any waystone that you have unlocked. Obviously, you're going to need your food and your drink. Nice substantial amount of that. And now let's talk about buffing. In 2.9.2, there's a thing called Potion Sickness. If you have more than 12 positive potion effects, you will get Potion Sickness, which, depending on the level of Potion Sickness, will randomly give you negative potion effects periodically, and it won't go away until your buffs go away. And it's a massive pain in the ass. You want to avoid that. So you can only have 12 positive buffs. Now, these are the ones that I would go with. You'll have your repulsion, your diamond skin, and your resistance from the armor and from the honor shield. And then on top of that, take a battle burrito, because this is going to be giving you the rejuvenation, the regeneration, the absorption, and the strength. So that's very, very important. Regeneration, rejuvenation, absorption, and strength. So that's 4 there. Then the elixir of iron skin. The reason you want to take the elixir of iron skin instead of the regular potion for iron skin. Regular potion of iron skin gives you +2 armor, but the elixir of iron skin from rustic mod gives you 2 armor toughness and 3 armor, and that's only the level 1 version. Obviously, we're going to be increasing this with wildberry wine. Now you've got your potion of wings core. You need this. Flight is going to be what keeps you alive through most of this. You want to be flying. I would not be on the ground in the lost cities. That is just asking for trouble. It's doable. You can do it. I'm not saying you can't do it, but I'm saying it's a bad idea. Then you've got your potion ring of reach. So the strategy that I'm utilizing most of the time And this is actually useful whether you're looting chests or fighting to get your sentient weapons, because the reach will allow you to break through walls and loot chests from further away, and it will also allow you to hit mobs from further away. So if you're flying above their heads and you've got like a pike plus the potion of reach and you can hit them from very, very far away, you can stay out of range, stay out of trouble. Now the last two, this would give us 11 buffs total. So we come down to the last two. Now I have not done a bunch of testing, and I'm not exactly sure exactly how the potion of mending works. Now, the potion of mending is a potion that gives you basically a mending effect and will mend whatever tool you have in your hand and your armor. Kind of like the mending enchant. However, the repairing level 3, because we're going to be increasing the levels of all these buffs to level 3 with wildberry wine, I don't know if that's more effective or less effective than advanced mending or mending. I don't really know how that relationship works, and I haven't done testing with it. If anyone knows exactly how this potion works and how the level 3 version works in comparison to advanced mending or mending, please feel free to let me know in the comments. Alternative, so you might take that just to be safe because your armor breaking is a death sentence. Alternatively, you can take the potion of health boost. You know, basically you can fill this with the various, with whatever you want. But these are the two that I would strongly consider. Potion of health boost will give you a bunch of extra hearts, and hearts is always a good thing. Outside of all of this, so we'll take the potion of health boost, we'll leave the potion of mending. Outside of this, you're going to want a ridiculous amount of wine. So some wildberry wine. Honestly, you only need 2 wildberry wines because your potions are going to get from, your buffs are going to get from level 1 to level 3. Level 3 is the max that you can buff up with wildberry wine. And the quality doesn't matter that much as long as it's above 0.5, because it just gives you +1 level per wine. Now, the regular wine is where you want to have the high quality. If you can have a 1.0 quality regular wine, fantastic. I have a guide on how to make wine and how to increase the quality of wine. So if you want to check that out, feel free to search that. And basically 0.5 wine, well, I think level 1.0 quality wine will give you +1 minute of your buffs, up to a maximum of 5 minutes. Now note, this has been nerfed for previous versions. It used to give +2 minutes for 1.0 quality and up to a maximum of 10 minutes. It's now 1 minute per 1.0 quality wine, up to a maximum of 5 minutes. And then it'll go down to, I think, 30 seconds if it's a 0.5 quality wine, around 40 seconds if it's a 0.8 quality. And basically between 0.5 and up to 1.0, it'll give you a higher, longer duration, up to 1 minute at 1.0 quality, if that makes sense. And finally, lightning arrows are something that you might want to consider bringing. They're pretty cheap to make. They only need a nether rod, blaze rod. That name escaped me for a second. The reason that you might want to bring these is because the parasites are very weak to lightning damage. So these will just boost the amount of damage that your bow is able to do to them. I know I said lastly, but there's actually a couple more things for us to talk about. Excuse me. So we want to put the lightning arrows in our inventory. We're now preparing to get our booty in there. And we want to make sure that we have our L menu maxed out as much as possible. Your sprint speed, your athletics, these maybe. But combat, you want to have maxed out on all aspects, except for maybe the shield proficiency, unless you're using a shield for whatever reason. But you want to have this fully maxed out. Even the sneak stuff, if you do end up getting trapped in the lost cities, you die and you can't get your stuff back and you're trapped there and you have to escape, God help you, it's really freaking tough to get out now. It used to be easier. It's now much, much harder, but sneak is going to be and sneak speed is going to be very useful. And the reason you might want to have the stone cutting is being able to break through walls with your fists. If you end up getting trapped there, could be useful to you as well, including the athletics and the sprint speed. Just do everything you can to not get trapped there without any armor or a way out or anything. And it's really tough to get out now. But you definitely want to have these things maxed out, particularly with the stealth damage as well. If you are crouching and doing stealth damage, this gives you 30% melee damage or even 15% projectile damage plus per damage level up to 5 levels. So 30%, 150% plus, you're doing 2.5 times damage total. So that's very important. Finally, we're now ready to get ourselves buffed up and ready to rock and roll this. I'm going to take off my cross necklace here. I'm going to put on the gluttony pendant. And I'm going to get a bunch of regular wine. All right. So how we're going to do this. And we got all the potions that we want. And we got this elixir. So I'm going to take this off for a second as well. And we are then going to have our wild berry wine. In fact, I'll drink the wild berry wine last. Okay, and I'm going to eat this battle burrito last because this has a couple of buffs on it that are very short. Only like 20 seconds or so. So drink all your potions, then your battle burrito, then your regular wine, then your wild berry wine. So here we go. Iron skin, whatever this one is. That was health boost. And we got the flight. Now we're going to get the reach. Then we're going to get the battle burrito. I ate it very quickly because the gluttony pendant. And then we're going to drink wine. To boost the duration of those, just drink all the way up to so you have 5 minutes on all of those, really. I mean, hopefully you'll have an abundance of wine so you can sort of have some to waste. And then you'll drink your wild berry wines to make sure all of your buffs get to level 3. So you drink 2. All of the buffs are now level 3. You'll want to keep wine on your hotbar because you'll need to make sure you're drinking this every 2 or 3 minutes. I would be buffing this up. I would be drinking. Even every 30 seconds to a minute, you can just drink another one. Because if you get caught in a fight and you left it down to like a minute and a half or 2 minutes, and you get caught in a fight that lasts a minute and a half or 2 minutes for whatever reason, and you forget to drink, and these buffs start to disappear, that could cause you a lot of trouble. Now, just to double check here again, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then inebriated. So we have 12 buffs, and we are going to be super duper strong. I mean, look how many hearts we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.4 rows of hearts plus the absorption, making it 6.2 rows of hearts. In terms of qualities, and now I can take this. In fact, we got a little bit more there. We got an extra 2 hearts there, and we could actually have a few more. Because in terms of our bauble qualities, sorry, I just thought of this just now. You want to have everything undying, and then in terms of the secondary quality, which is done with the bauble reforging station here, you will either want to have hardy for the extra hearts or menacing for the extra attack damage. Basically, when I'm doing my bauble reforging, I will take whatever menacing or hardy, whichever one comes first, I'll take that. So I've got a pretty even spread. I've got hardy on 4 and then menacing on 3 of them. And I believe that is everything. So we're now ready for the Lost Cities. So I'm going to have my wine here. I'm going to have my food here. I'm going to have a waystone ready to go. I'll have my polarizing stone in my inventory so I can press / to turn it on if I want to. I'll have my bow there. And I'm going to have a waystone here, which I'll then swap out with a warp scroll a little bit later. I can put my gluttony pendant away, empty bottles, the wild berry wine. And you might want to bring it with you just in case you do let your buffs run out and you can rebuff. So you might even want to make sure you bring these potions with you. You can pop those in here as an example. Bring those with you. This is all just regular wine. Might want to have a couple of these in your inventory. And then we can take that because I need to take that. We might want to take the battle burritos as well, just in case we need to rebuff. And now we can go to the Lost Cities. Now, the first thing that we're going to want to do, one side note as well, is you should start flying before you enter. Because if you start flying before you enter, you'll actually be flying when you enter. And just in case something spawns there with you, then like there and starts attacking you straight away somehow, then you will obviously be already flying, so you can just fly away very quickly. You might want to put your waystone on top of a building. You'll want to set your spawn at that waystone, so you make sure that spawn is set so you can. Oh, since you're too far away from them to do that. Okay, you know what? I'm a silly Billy. I thought the recall potion would work. Now, one final thing to note as well is that you might want to actually build yourself an obsidian base here. It may even be worth considering putting your waystone, i.e. your spawn point, out into like over here. Actually, no, there's a lot of spawns out here as well. I mean, honestly, the top of a building like this is probably the best idea. But you're likely to want to try and build yourself an obsidian base because there's lots of mobs that can break blocks, but none of the mobs can break obsidian. So you might want to consider building something that looks a little bit like this, maybe even a longer tunnel, maybe a tunnel with a turn, and then you can have you know, a little safe area, relatively safe area. Put a door, maybe even as well, although the door won't stop certain things. But the door there, just having this kind of safe area for your spawn point is probably a good idea. Maybe bring a bed and a chest so you can stash items if you need to. And I don't think I mentioned skills. You should have these already anyway, but you want to have undershirt and you want to have battle spirit as well. I think that's pretty much everything. Drop guarantee, maybe. I don't think it really works for the Lost Cities mobs in terms of farming the sentient pieces, but it might help. But yeah, this undershirt will save your life every 60 seconds, taking a fatal blow. Instead of dying, you'll live. So that's good. And that is everything. But there's even more than I expected to cover in this video. So that is absolutely everything you need to know to prepare for the Lost Cities and hopefully be able to survive here. If you want to do certain things here, I've got guides on how to get the race rings. That's pretty much exactly the same in 2.9.2 as it is in previous versions. Basically, you just need luck and to fly around opening chests with the highest luck possible. But if you want further information, I've got a guide on that. Just search up how to get the race rings in RLCraft. I'll link a lot of these videos in the description below if I remember, or if you guys remind me in the comments to do so. I will make sure I get them linked in the description. I'll also be doing a guide on how to get the sentient weapons and sentient armor. You'll need to farm a bunch of mobs in the Lost Cities. So I'll be doing guides on how to do that. And yeah, good luck in the Lost Cities, guys. Good luck. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, consider subscribing. And it's always great to see you in the comments. Hope you have an awesome rest of your day. Take care. SomeNutzGuy. Grab gaming by the nuts.